Go in here and check. Says we're live. This is awesome. Like when the Zoom to Facebook doesn't work, you have a tech guy on here that helps you. I'm excited to have us here, and this is going to be fun. I am excited to bring to you one of my dear friends who's doing amazing things in the world. Brought together the most epic online summit I've ever seen with over 100 plus speakers, amazing backgrounds, everyone teaching everything you need to know on how to host one, what are the struggles, how to overcome those struggles, how to market, campaign, promote, all the different things that go into a successful online virtual summit. So I'm excited to have Mark here with us today. Mark, tell everybody a little bit about your backstory, because you have so much goodness. Like, you got the goods, like all the tools out there.
Got all the things. Love that. Thank you, Aaron. Always a pleasure hanging out with you and your tribe. Dr. Mark T. Wade here, the 2 doctorates. That just means I am the biggest nerd here today for sure. Had a brick and mortar practice that I wanted to take online and struggled, just like most of us went through that challenge of trying to build an audience, trying to get my message out, trying to build anything that would make, generate revenue, until I heard of the concept of a virtual summit. So I set out to try it. And luckily our virtual summit went quite well. This is like 6 something years ago. We generated around 5,000 leads and approximately $32,000, which was the first success we had at that moment online. So we were like super stoked. Now, on top of being a nerd, I'm also dense. So when I found something that worked, I just kind of doubled down, tripled down on it. One of the cool things about that, though, that first summit, the backbone of that summit, we then used to create a certification, which went on to be $1 million certification. And that company went on to be a multi-million-dollar company in the health space, and it's still there today. So with summits, we started running 2 to 4 multi-day summits, 4 to 8 one-day summits, like every year in that company. And it got to the point where I'm like, this was so frustrated. I'm like, why is this so difficult? Like, you can do it at a course, a webinar, any of those things very simply without any kind of tech skill. Like, why do I have to hire developers just to run a summit? And that's when I kind of got the idea, well, let's just make this easy. And so about 4 years ago, I created the first ever platform for hosting virtual summits called Virtual Summit Software. And then once I got a taste for helping people get their message out to the world, like, I went all in. So I started the Virtual Summit podcast. I have an agency called Viral Summits, Viral Summits Concierge. I run an in-person conference called Summit Fest Live. We have workshops. We have, we do everything with summits. And so we've spent a lot of time in the summit space helping everybody from people who are just getting started to brick and mortar chiropractors, all the way up to consulting with some of the biggest brands and entrepreneur or influencers in the space.
Yeah. And the thing that I love is, like, so COVID hits, right? I'm like, okay, events, COVID hits. We're like, okay, well, now what? The thing that I loved is within the first week of, Microsoft, Boeing, Amazon, all my corporate clients, working from home and being stay-at-home orders, I was like, they're bored sitting at home. I need to figure out how to do this online. And the first person I went to was Mark, because he had all the things that I knew I needed. He has the Soffit somewhere. That's awesome. I'm making you a new name.
I love that, actually.
The Summit software, where literally if you plug it in like an email, it sends up a landing page, it brings in the speakers, they put in all the information. I was like, this not only saves me time and the headache of trying to keep everybody's stuff in the same area, in the same place, and all that other stuff. I had a plug and play system that made it so easy. So within 2 weeks of COVID shutdown and stay-at-home orders, I produced the Corona Summit. And it was amazing to get out there and get so many people that were literally sitting at their desks, moving the mouse, showing that they were at work, but they had nothing to do because they didn't even know what the orders were and how they couldn't get to, what they needed to do. So I loved that I was able to get amazing results from this. I've had many of my clients move over to use that software because it just really is an easy plug and play system. And so, man, anytime I think about virtual summits, I'm like, okay, Mark's the guy. So I'm glad, and just, to hear the depth of experience that he has in all of that in so many different industries. Who thinks about taking a brick and mortar, 1-to-1, it's trading your time for dollars, and puts it online and makes it so much bigger and grows into the, and into the millions. So I just think it's really amazing. So tell us more about this new summit that you just did, that we've been recording and promoting and doing all this stuff.
Yes, Summit Talk. So it's coming up right around the corner. I'm very excited about it. Kind of referencing back to the COVID situation, we've been helping people for years get their message out through these collaborative marketing strategies, such as summits. And when this happened, I was like, you know what? I was getting phone calls from everybody, everything from the founder of Spartan Races to Tucker Max to Giovanni at Archangels. Like, what do we do? I'm like, if they're having these concerns and these questions, everybody's having these concerns and questions. So I decided to create this resource. Essentially, I wanted to give people the information they needed to be able to quickly and with confidence put out a virtual summit. But at the same time, I didn't want it to just be the Mark show, right? I didn't want it to just be like a course or something like that. And I was also considering one of the number one questions I get asked on a regular basis, which is like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. Obviously it works. We see them everywhere, but will it work for me in my industry or my niche or in my space? Like, it's the number one question people ask. So I said, what if I could bring in all of these different summit hosts from every different space and industry and vertical and niche, and show what they did, what the challenges they faced and the successes that they had and the insights they've learned, and just give those to people. So it's like the easy button, like, don't figure it out yourself. And it's not even like you got to come to me and have me filter it into your niche or your industry. Just listen to the person who's already done it in one of your vectors or niches. So that was kind of the initial concept. And then it obviously grew. I mean, originally I was thinking like 60 speakers. And at this point, we're over 120 speakers, summit hosts. I call them visionaries because each and every one of them has made an impact in the world by getting their message out via a virtual summit. So we had that. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. So we're going to give people like actual real life examples of what worked, what didn't in their actual niche. I said, but we need to, like, nobody wants to sit through 120 sessions, right? Like, it's a 10-day summit. Like, that sounds massive. Well, my kind of, like, claim to fame, I guess, if you will, is I invented the 1-day summit. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to make each day a 1-day summit. So this is actually a set of 1-day summits stacked together. So you can come in and get what you want in a day, or dip in each day, or binge out the whole thing, become a summit warrior on the other end. So I was like, okay, that makes sense structurally. But what do people really want? Like, there's some people I talk to, like, Mark, I'm all in. Give me the big one. I want to do what you did. I want to do a multi-day summit. I want everybody to know about it. Like, all right, so you're going to want to do a multi-day summit or a summit show. Here you go. Here's what you need for that. And there's others that are like, I want to do a summit, but I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of resources. Like, I really, I just wanted to do it simply and make sure it works. Well, then we got like the 1-day summit or the micro summit and every other kind of summit in between. So you can kind of come in and filter through each day and go, what do I want to learn? Then on top of that, again, I told you I'm a nerd, right? I went through all of this. So I said, on top of that, I want to like grid it as well. So each day you can go in and say, I want to learn about the 1-day summit in this niche or in this industry. Or you can look at it based on the goals you have of the summit. So we've broken these down into kind of 4 types of people or groups of people that would want to learn the information. We have our first group is our creators, like our course creators, content creators, YouTubers, bloggers, coaches, etc. So anybody that's trying to sell more things that they build is going to want to tune into this, because these are people who are just like all of us that were, struggling, challenges, or just getting started. And then fast forward 3 months and then the summit happens and now they're crushing it. Then our next audience, our next group of people is those who want to build an audience, meaning they've already got something going. Like, they're successful. They got some money coming in. They got a business, but they know if they could just get a bigger audience, they would have that much better and bigger of a business. So we've got sessions tuning into how these specific summit hosts were able to build their audience, what they did to generate these kind of empire size audiences using summits. And then the last 2 are a little less common, but still pretty valuable. The first one being side hustlers, right? Like, you've got this passion, this thing that you're wanting to do, but you're still kind of working full time. And it's a little too scary to just jump off the cliff and hope that this side hustle will bear fruit. So we've actually brought people in and said, look, I didn't just take a gamble. I used a virtual summit to build this side hustle into a full hustle and then left my job. And here's exactly how I did it. And then the final one's the new one, which, you know, has happened because of this year. And that's our event host, right? So in-person event host. And this is like a huge segment now, but really we didn't even talk about this much before, like last year. But the thing I want to recommend here, or at least reference here, is it's not just like conferences. Like we've got people who have workshops, masterminds, retreats, even meetups. Like they just do meetups in their local area. So hear how these in-person event hosts were able to use a virtual summit and take their events virtually, either to some degree or completely, in the challenges they faced as well as the benefits and successes they had. So that's like the sessions. And then I mixed it up. I didn't want it to just be interviews. So we actually have like interviews, and in each interview with the host, they do a little peel back behind the scenes. You get to see their summit. So imagine seeing all the different behind the scenes of summits. It's going to give you a really good insight there. But we also have masterclass sessions, presentations, some keynotes, panels, things like that. Then we have live stream. Like, you know me. So I like to party. So we're going to have some party in this as well. So each day we have a live stream session with me, our Summit Builder Live, where I'm taking the group through and actually helping them build out their summit. And then in the evenings, we're partying, we're hanging out. We got the kickoff party on night one. We got live stream speaker panels throughout. We got hot seats. We got a mastermind session planned for anybody who really wants to just jump in and build out their summit. We're going to do a mastermind session. So we got lots of stuff and some other stuff I can't say yet because it's still surprises, but we're going to have some fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, everything Mark does is big and fun and exciting. I remember one of the first things I saw after with COVID was you had to pivot your in-person mastermind into an online space. And I loved seeing all the drinks and the DJ and all the stuff. And I was like, oh, it started to really open up for me what's possible. And then, you know, of course, then we were in a couple groups together where people were literally talking about converting their events to online. And it was so awesome to watch and to participate and go, oh yeah. And they just see what everybody else is doing and see what was working. And that was the amazing part. And that's what I think that this summit does, because you can look at a summit and go, oh, wow, Erin put on a summit. That was amazing. I could never put on one like that. But you don't even know if it landed me any clients, if I hadn't had anybody opt into it. You don't know. But if you, like you're setting it up, that we opened up our own, you know, thing. You saw our summits. You got to see the landing pages. You got to see the numbers. You got to see, we shared it all, like the man behind the curtain kind of thing, right? And so that's what I love about it, because so many times you see things out there and you're like, oh, that would be awesome to do. I just don't know if I could do it. But you don't even know if it was good or not.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
I would absolutely say, like, one of the things, like, kind of referencing with that is a lot of times we talk a lot about the big dogs, if you will, you know.
Yeah.
For example, some of the ones that commonly referenced, Chandler Bolt built an 8-figure company, self-publishing school off of virtual summits. Shanda Sumner has $100 million a year company building virtual summits. Last year, Russell Brunson did $1 million in the first 14 days of his virtual summit. And even just a few months ago, our friend Pete Vargas did $12 million off of his virtual event. So we hear those a lot, and those, that's the aspiration. It'd be great for us to do that. But I think a lot of times people go, well, I couldn't do that. Like, they could do it, but I can't do it. So what I really like about Summit Talks is it's highlighting people like Dr. Greg Eckel, who is a healthcare professional who had never done a single thing online. He didn't have a course. He didn't even have a podcast. He didn't have anything. So he met me at a mastermind I was teaching at and said, what should I do? I said, do a one-day summit. That's what I tell everybody to do. He did a one-day summit. Fast forward, when I had my talk with him on Summit Talks, he goes, I've made $1 million in the last year from that one-day summit. And I'm like, oh my, this is a guy who never done anything online before. Now he has a podcast. Now he has a book. Now he's a course. Now it was like the gateway drug for him, right? And then there's other people like Ernie the attorney, and I did not make that name up. That's a real name. Ernie has he does a workshop for attorneys. And when COVID hit, like, his workshop got canceled. He was going to have to pivot. He was going to lose around $30,000 in fees and things. He pivoted to a virtual summit and he made $62,000 in profit using virtual summit software and just holding it on a virtual summit. And then we have people like Ali Stoffels, who's a Gym Rec Pro, gymnastic recreational professional. She helps the little kids learn gymnastics, and she had no interest in doing anything online. She just wanted to be around other Gym Rec pros because she didn't have anybody else to connect with like that. She ran her summit. Not only was it the biggest virtual summit, the first one, it was also the biggest gathering of her profession ever. And now almost overnight, she became a celebrity. And she's like, I don't know what to do now, but like, so these are people who had never done a summit before. They didn't have anything in the online space. The point I'm trying to make here is not that you're necessarily going to make $1 million to become a celebrity. The point is none of them had knowledge on anything in the online space, let alone a summit, and they were able to do this. So if they can do a summit, you can do a summit.
Yeah. And I think more now than ever, people are so missing the community, the events, the connectivity, the belonging. And so if you are a visionary, as Mark says, that is out there with a message, creating change in the world, your tribe needs the community. They need that connection. And being the lone silos, we all experience how lonely it is on a daily basis by just working in my little office all by myself, right? The other thing that I think really works with virtual summits and online is that the intimacy. Right now, you're in my house. Like, I don't just open my front door and let people in, right? So you're in my house with me as we do this. And so you're in your house. So you might be wearing pajama pants like I am. I'm still wearing my pajama pants. But that's the fun part. Like, it's the intimacy of, you know what? I don't have to do all these things. I don't have to like get all dressed up. I don't have to fly somewhere. I don't have to pay all this money. I can just literally sit here. And I just saw, when Tony Robbins did his big event online, they had families sitting there, kids that would never go to Unleash the Power Within, but there they were, right? Because it's all virtual. So you can bring your family into it. And right now I'm homeschooling. So my son is going to be attending a lot of events that I'm attending because I think it's powerful for him to learn this as a skill and a tool, right? So I think if you have a message, you should be putting together a summit because let's say the intimacy is the easiest way. You're getting into people's homes. They don't just let anybody in there. So it's really a great opportunity for you to stand above your competition for sure.
Yeah. Like, and usually the two things that I hear from potential or aspiring summit hosts that like kind of hold them back is that first question we already talked about is like, can I do it in my niche or industry? And yes, absolutely. Yes. Like, it does not matter what niche or industry you're in. Actually, the more unique and diverse your niche or industry is, the better. I mean, I've seen some in, like, for example, Jim Ross. He is a self-storage space owner. He owns a self-storage space. He ran the first ever self-storage space summit, and one became a celebrity in his industry. Everybody's like, what is going on here? This is it. This is the thing. And then immediately within 3 months after that, he held 2 one-day summits, and each of those one-day summits generated around $20,000 just in sponsorship, not even what he made on the summit. So if you can't get any more brick and mortar than a self-storage space. So if he can do it in that niche, you can do it in just about any niche. And then the other thing is like, but can I actually do it? Okay, I could do it in my niche and industry, but I don't have a tech knowledge. I don't have a team. Like that's the beauty of this is the technology is there. Like Virtual Summit software resolves any problems, and it's not an expensive thing. We're not even talking hundreds of dollars. We're talking less than that. You could use Virtual Summit software, and that takes care of the tech, no team needed, and really reduces your time needed by dramatically. So the only thing that's left is what topic are you going to do, and then the knowledge to actually create the strategy behind it. And that's what we're going to give in Summit Talks. And again, it's 100% free. Aaron's got a link to it over there, but it's 100% free to access it and go through all of these sessions. Again, you don't have to watch all of them, or you can watch all of them if you really want to come out of there like fully, like a summit warrior. But the point here is what we want to do is we want you to be clear on what you could or should do your summit on, how you could do it, and then what's needed to actually get started doing it. So that's what you'll have by the end of Summit Talks.
I know, that's what I love, because you've not only taken out the, oh, is it possible? You're like, yeah, it is. And here's how you get it. And that's what I love. Like, he stacked it up. Like, you can attend this for free. You can attend this and get more tools and resources, or you can do the whole thing and get it all, that you're just like, this is my one-stop shop. I don't need to figure anything. Like, all I need to do is just plug the system in, plug what I just learned into the system, and I have it. No brainer, right?
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And on top of like whether or not like I can do it or not, like it really meant, like it comes down to this. Like some people really kind of look at what everybody else is doing, right? Like and I like to say, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. Don't like try and do what I'm doing. Actually, I would never recommend anybody do 120 speaker summit. However, I always recommend everybody starts with a 1-day summit. It's quicker, it's easier, it's more forgiving. 5 speakers, like how you guys can all do 5 interviews. Come on. So then you have the knowledge and you can expand from there on your next summit. The other part of this is, your first summit's never going to be your best summit. I don't care how much time or energy you put into it, you're still learning as you go. So I know we got a lot of perfectionists out there. I understand. But what I like to try and say is take that P from perfection and change it to proud. As long as you're proud of the summit, then you're good. Get it out there. It'll be fine. You'll do well, and you'll learn a lot from that process, as well as generate an audience, revenue, and relationships, which are the most common things that we get from summits. Actually, we talk a lot about the revenue and the audience, because again, these have really literally built empires and or just help people get to that next level, whatever that is in their business. But some of the biggest benefits of hosting a summit are non-tangible. They're intangible benefits, like the relationships you're going to build with your speakers. We've got several stories of people talking about, like I got to interview my mentor, this person I looked up to as a celebrity. And by the end of the summit, now I have them on speed dial, or the opportunities that come. It's something magical. When you host a summit, it's just like opportunities start coming from everywhere. And then the other aspect, which is one of my favorites, is the impact you make in the audience's lives. There's not a summit that I've heard, no matter how little or big, that hasn't had messages like, thank you so much, that changed my A, B, or C, my life, my business, my relationship, whatever the topic was. So that's why I personally believe every single person should be doing a summit, especially if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur of any sort or want to be. Like that is your ticket right there. That is the thing that gets your message out in front of more people. That's the thing that builds the number. It's kind of weird. It's like the universe said, okay, to build a business, you have to have an audience, but we're going to make the audience building the most difficult thing. It's like, what? Come on. So that's the reality of it, is if you want a successful business, you have to have an audience. The problem is building an audience is hard. Building a qualified audience is even harder, and building a qualified and engaged audience can seem impossible. So that's the thing. That's the reason why I love virtual summits. It's one of the only strategies that I've ever experienced that can literally build you a qualified, engaged audience. You don't have to spend money on ads. You literally get to build relationships with speakers. And at the end of the day, you now have this qualified, engaged audience that you can point to your next offer or promotion.
Well, and I think the one place that you've done really well too with summits, like you said, the connections you build, the intangibles, right? One of the things that I love is that all of us, the speakers in the event, are all connected. And you even got me an opportunity because someone said, hey, I said, this is what I do. And they're like, hey, I want you on my podcast. So by participating in your summit, I got another speaking opportunity on someone else's platform. And you look like the king of all of it because you brought everyone together, right? So it levels up the amount of like relatability and that loyalty to you that we have as speakers. We also get excited that we can all stage swap. Like that's one of the things as speakers, guys. You got to build other people that will promote you. There's been times where Mark's like, hey, you need someone to talk about TEDx? Call Aaron. Like, here's the gal, right? So we know this about each other. When people say, hey, I want to do a virtual summit, I'm like, I got you, right? We just know that. So then it builds that. And so now we're spreading our audience more and more because now I'm on yours. You've been on mine. We've stage swapped. We keep increasing the amount. Everyone that's on there, right, just increase their audience by 100 something people's audience, right? Like think of the numbers of that. if each person on that summit even just had 1,000 people on their mailing list or their network or whatever, that's a lot of people, right? And that's the kind of impact that you're looking to make. Well, that's how easy the build can be if you use a platform and use a system that works.
So good. It's so good. I love that. And I love you. I think you coined the term summit swap. Actually, the first time I ever heard that, I think was from you. I love that too, because one relationship expands into other relationships. And we were just talking about non-tangibles on the summit, and those relationships that you build with those experts, those speakers, those go on after the summit. Like that's where these opportunities have happened. Like, hey, will you speak on a Facebook Live to my audience? Or, hey, come on to my podcast. Or, hey, I've got another summit. Can you be on that? So it's a really powerful tool. But at the end of the day, the thing I love about it is it's not a new strategy. I mean, the One Day Summit formula we kind of invented, 4 or 5 years ago, but virtual summits in general have been around since 2005. Melinda Lashinsky did the first ever telesummit. We're back when they did phones, the first ever coaches telesummit. And then it expanded into online summits once tech caught up, and then now they're virtual summits. But this is a strategy that's been around forever. And, well, not forever, but you know what I mean? And it's used by the biggest entrepreneurs as well as even the first people just getting started. I honestly believe it's even more powerful for people who are just getting started, because when you are first getting started, it's almost impossible to build an audience. You got everything stacked against you. You don't have the funds available to go spend on paid traffic. You don't have any of the materials built to be able to even attract people. And then you don't know what you're doing to actually build the marketing out while you're still trying to pay all the bills. Like, what if you could just take 3 months, do this summit, and on the back end of that, have 2,000 people that are ready to buy whatever you have for them? That's the power of a virtual summit. And so it gets me really excited, because I know a lot of people, even if you're not just getting started, like that's the challenge. We all go through that challenge in business, is how do I bring more qualified, engaged people into my audience that want to purchase with me or go on further with me in the customer journey. So it's one of those things, Aaron, where I just want to get I know I may sound like evangelistic over here about summits, but it's honestly, the thing that breaks my heart, I've been doing this for 4 years teaching, been running summits for over 6. And the thing that breaks my heart is I get approached by entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and they're telling me their story, and I'm a visionary. So I get excited for them. I'm like, oh my God, I can already see what this looks like as a 10-figure company. Like, let's do this. And I give them the information. All you have to do is take this virtual summit, do the work, implement it, and then you will be on your way. I can't do the work for them, right? We can't do the work for them. You have to want it. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not going to go to sleep and then poof, tomorrow you have $1 million summit. You got to do the work. And then what breaks my heart is fast forward 3 months, 6 months, 12 months later, I see these same entrepreneurs, and they're either in the exact same place they were, or maybe back working at a 9-to-5 job because they couldn't make it happen. And the part of that really breaks my heart is not even them. It's the message that they were talking about originally. The thing I saw in my head was how many people that was going to impact, how many lives were going to be changed because of that. And because they couldn't get that out, those lives never changed. Those lives were never impacted, and therefore the world never expanded. So that's what breaks my heart about it. That's why I get so fired up about this, is because it's literally a tool that works almost 100% of the time to get your message out, build an audience, and make an impact and difference in the world.
I know. And I'm so on the same plane with you. I'm always like, I'm taking a stand for you because I'm standing for your audience. I'm not going to let you not create your talk. I'm not going to get you to not get out there on stages because you're too afraid. I'm going to stand for you because I stand for all the people you're here to serve. And I think that's really impactful. And, it's so funny because you think about, it truly, truly is one of the oldest kind of formats is interviewing other people. Let's think of Think and Grow Rich, right? So even if you feel like I know one nugget of speaking, like let's just say if I was, this is how I actually started my very first in-person event. I was like, okay, I really got this part nailed about your talk and what you need to put in your talk and the psychology behind it. But all the other things I didn't know yet. So I brought all these other people onto the stage so that my audience was really taken care of. And then I started to get more known, and more people wanted to be up on my stage, but also a part of what I was building. And as I built my own confidence in what I knew, I was able to take more time. Okay, now I can do a 2-hour talk. Now I can do 4 hours, right? You can expand if you're thinking about, I'm so worried that I don't have enough content. Bring other people. I mean, let's be honest. One of our friends, Lewis Howes, he got famous for interviewing people on his podcast that then exploded. He, of course, was the LinkedIn guy. I joined School of Greatness in the beta. So I've watched all of that, but I just love that for a long time, he was like, he just got known for all the amazing interviews that he did and all the different people he brought in. He became a celebrity in this space because he kept attracting all of the amazing people. So even if you're feeling like, I don't know if I have enough, I don't know if I know enough, I don't know if it's big enough yet, it's okay to start by gathering other people, because guess what? They all have an audience too. You come together and you build more of an audience. Maybe you take a couple from this person and a little this and this, and it just starts to build and build and build. And so I really believe this is like one of the very pinnacle things about growing a business, like you talked about, is you can use other people's expertise to level up your credibility and your exposure out there, right?
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it really is. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do here. And that's why we brought together Summit Talks. It is 120 plus visionaries that have made a difference in the world and impact in the world by sharing their message with a virtual summit. You can get access to that for free with Summit Talks with the link here that Aaron has. And on top of that, we're also like, we just want to make this a no-brainer. So it's completely free to access, join, attend, have all the amazing goodies we've got. But we're also going to throw in an extra bonus. So we have this virtual summit starter kit, which we sell inside our company for $500. We're throwing that in for free just for signing up for Summit Talks. So not only you get all of Summit Talks, all of those sessions, get to hang out with really cool people like Aaron and myself, which again, you got to check out Aaron's talk. It was one of the top 4 of the entire thing. So definitely tune in to that. But on top of that, we're going to throw in the virtual summit starter kit, which is going to have all these resources and tools that you need to get started with your virtual summit. So I highly recommend taking action on that now. You don't want to miss day 1 of Summit Talk. So take action, jump into that. And when you're in there, say hi. I like to actually interact and hang out with everybody. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've put the link in the comments. You can see it on the screen, but it's in the comments as well. So I'm really excited to be a part of this, honored to be a part of getting these messages out and getting more people to share their message in the world. So I just thank you, Mark, for being such a visionary and such a lighthouse to the world. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And let's see you on Summit Talks.